and cattle. Now, do you know gold and silver? That's valuable. And in those days, and even today, the people that see true value see that that has worth. You can buy whatever you need with that. But if you have cattle, you know what you have? You have meat, you have milk, and you would have what? Clothes. A lot of our clothes come from leather goods, a leather belt, leather shoes, leather this, leather that. So in God's eyes, someone that's really rich here on the earth is someone that has gold and silver and cattle. In the Bible, it was an agrarian society. God set this thing up in which men were supposed to live on farms. And that's another thing that our society has changed. They want to get us off the farm and into the city. Well, in the Bible, when God gave Israel the land, matter of fact, let's start back to the very beginning. What did God give Adam and Eve? He put them in a garden to dress it and keep it. So God really wanted men to be in a place to where they were dependent upon God for the rain. They were dependent upon God for the crops to grow. And they lived in a society where they were working outside by the sweat of their brow. And that they had a farm and they kept cattle and they kept things like this. This was the way that God originally intended it. And then when God gave the land to Israel, there were 3 feasts that they were to keep in Jerusalem. So every one of the families of all the different tribes were to come, and they had a house in Jerusalem. So they lived in the country, but they had a house in the city. And they would go back and forth. But most of the time, they spent their time and their living on the farm. I just find that interesting. So gold, silver, cattle. You keep cattle, then you can sell that, sell the meat, sell the milk, sell the clothes to get money, gold and silver. So in the Bible, we see God had a system in which he set it up, okay? And money throughout history has been gold and silver. And it's because it's valuable. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people don't think about. But do you realize that it had something to do with health? We're living in a health crisis today. A lot of people are getting sick all throughout society. And I wonder why. But did you know there's a thing called colloidal silver? There's also a thing called colloidal gold. And that's taking gold, that's taking silver, and that's using a process of electrolysis, I believe it is, putting in positive and negative on something that is gold or silver. And in water, the particles come off. And silver is a very good antiseptic. Okay, it's very good for helping your body, and gold as well. So if you have gold and silver as money, and you're using that daily, and you're purchasing things, then you have it in your fingers, you have it in your hand, and you're buying and you're selling with gold and silver. And did you know you can actually absorb things into your fingers, into your body? And so my thought is, man, when people use gold and silver coin, I wonder if they weren't healthier. Because the gold and the silver is rubbing off in their hands and being absorbed in their body, and has something to do with fighting disease and sickness. And I wonder if maybe that wasn't what made them healthier back then. Using real gold and real silver day to day. I met a guy one time when I used to work at Piggly Wiggly, all right? It's a grocery store, Piggly Wiggly. And I used to work at Piggly Wiggly, and this guy came in one time, and he's purchasing something, and he pulls out of his pocket some change, and he had this big, round silver disc. And it was just as smooth as it could be. And I said, "Sir, what is that?" He said, "Oh, that?" He said, "I've carried this in my pocket for 30 years. He said, "That's a silver dollar." And he says, "Every day I just do this with it a couple times a day. Just rub it. Just rub it." I said, "Why?" He says, "I'm rubbing that silver off into my body." And he had rubbed that thing so much for 30 years that it was completely shiny on both sides. And there was nothing, no pattern, no nothing. It was complete shiny. He rubbed off the silver. I said, "Man, that's kind of cool, mister." He said, "Yeah, just remember, silver's good for your body. And you need to absorb that." I always thought that was so cool. So yet today, what have they done? Well, in 1933, in America, they said, "We're outlawing gold. You can't have gold anymore." And they took us off the gold standard. Before that, you would have bills that said payable on demand by gold. A bill was not a dollar. It was a note to go get the money, which was gold. 1933, our government said, "No, you can't have gold anymore." And that stayed in effect till, when was it, 1984 or something like that? I forget the exact date. Maybe it was 86. Yeah, I think it was 86 that Ronald Reagan said, "No, you can have gold, you can have silver." And people began to buy gold and silver, and they actually began to mint gold and silver coins. But did you know in 1933 they said, no gold? Gold is a type of heaven. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it's so valuable, because when we're saved, that's where we go. We go up to heaven where there's streets of gold and mansions of pure gold. So gold is a type of heaven. So God allowed men down here to have something valuable. And to God, gold is valuable because it reminds him of heaven. And it should be valuable to us because we know there's gold in heaven. But what did they do? They got rid of gold in our country. And it's sad. And so what did they do? They said, no, only silver. And they put us on a silver standard. Do you remember what's called a silver certificate? It was $1, and it says payable on demand in silver coin. And you would go get a silver dollar with that one bill. See, they made bills to make it easier to carry because gold and silver is heavy. The bills were never the money. The money is the gold and silver and the copper and other things. But what did they do? They said, no, we don't want based upon gold and silver. We're going to change all this, and we're going to change it down here to paper. Paper. And they said the paper is the money. But it's not. It's a note. It's a bank note. That's what paper is. It's not money. It's a bank note. But because people think it's money, people want that piece of paper. What good is a piece of paper? Did you know that a piece of paper can burn? Did you know that you can burn a piece of paper? It can burn. But you know you can't burn gold or silver? Let's say you have gold and silver money and your house burns down. Well, you still have that money. Now, it's probably melted a little, but you take it to a sayer is what they're called, and they purify it, and they can give it back to you, and you didn't lose anything. But if you have a piece of paper and it burns up, you got nothing. So they've been actively changing the money and the money system, and then, if that wasn't bad enough, they went to plastic. Now, what I see through all this, and it really bothers me, and you know what? Plastic burns. Matter of fact, plastic comes from oil. Did you know that? Plastic comes from the ground, and it comes from oil underground. That's what plastic is made from oil. And oil burns. Did you know that? So what have they done in our world? In our world, they have taken what God gave as money, gold, a type of heaven. You know, silver is a type of redemption, by the way. Redemption. In the Bible, silver is a type of redemption. But gold and silver, they're good for our health. It's good to be touching those and holding those. It's good to even be getting that into our body through colloidal silver. Now, don't overdo it and drink so much colloidal silver that you turn into the blue man, which is on YouTube. Look up the blue man, the guy that supposedly drank colloidal silver all his life, turned his skin blue. You don't want that. But there's a lot to be said for colloidal silver being able to do something to help your body and be used as an antiseptic to fight disease. So we look at money and it reminds us of heaven, but then we look at how man has degraded money and changed it and made money into what? A credit card. A plastic credit card. And what is a credit card? A credit card is a piece of plastic, right? And in that plastic, usually, guess what's there? In that piece of plastic, there's a chip. And there's this little chip right here, and what's chip made out of? The chip is made of silicone, and what is silicone? Dirt. So, back to the ground. So they have taken the economic system of the world and using real money and reminding us of heaven, and they have changed it, taken it away from us, given us something else, substitute, to where now many people think money is my credit card and I go buy something. And what is it made from? Something that comes from under the ground that burns. So, from heaven to hell. If you think about it, where is hell? Center of the earth, under the ground, and it burns. So, our economic system in this world has been destroyed from carrying around in our pockets little pieces of heaven to now we're based upon an economic system where man's messed it up so much that it just all reminds us of hell. And you know what is worse? Nowadays, it's all going to digital. It's all going to a computer. To where nowadays they say money is on the chip and they say money is all the little digits. Well, that would have a problem. Where does money come from? Click, 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 click. Boom, you got money. That was easy. You see, the reason that gold and silver and copper had this value, this intrinsic value, is because it took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy to get them and dig them up. Finding gold, finding silver, a lot of work involved. That's why they were so valuable, because of all the work involved. Well, now they have degenerated our money system to where now it doesn't take a lot of work. If some guy knows how to hack something, he can just go click, click, click and make himself a lot of money. Why? Because there's 2 digits. There's 1 and then there's 0. Now, which would you rather have? Would you rather have 0, 1, or would you rather have 1, 0? If I came to you and I said, all right, which one do you want? 0, 1 or 1, 0? You would probably go, well, I want 10. I want 10. 10 is more than 1, so give me the 10. But what is the difference? Nothing. It's just I move the 0 from one side to another. So if I come over to you and I say, now here's 1, and I say, you know what? I'm going to give you 2 zeros. Boom, boom. I added nothing, right? 0 means nothing. Now you got 100. So you know what? I'm just going to throw you out there a couple more zeros. Boom, 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 boom. And they have made it into money becoming something that is so easy to make. It's just a whole bunch of zeros after a number in a computer. And there's not a lot of effort involved. This leads us to what we call today cyber currency or cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is money being made by a computer. You can do mining, Bitcoin mining, where the computer does all the work and it makes through some sort of encryption what they say is money, but what is it? It's just digits. It's not something tangible in your hand like the Bible says money is. So isn't that odd? Have you ever thought about these things? True, real money is something that is valuable and that you can utilize, that you can use. How do you use numbers in a computer? You can't even get those out. You can't touch those unless someone has a computer. It's just a weird, messed up system. And it's a system that really only works with electronics. Only through electronics can you use this system because it's based upon that chip. What happens if an EMP pulse goes off? Or what happens if something like a solar flood happens and all the electrical all over the world is destroyed and there's no electricity anymore? And you go up to the grocery store and you say, I got my credit card, please, please. I'm sorry, our system is down. You can't buy or sell with that. But if you came and you had a little piece of silver, a little piece of gold, if people knew that that was worth something. Nowadays, people don't think that gold and silver is worth anything. They think that the only thing's worth something is that little piece of plastic. Isn't that wild? So they have reversed everything from the way that it's supposed to be. I remember going to a pawn shop here not too many years ago. Walked in the pawn shop and the man was there talking to this couple, and he had there on the counter a box open. And in that box he had a, how do I say this nicely, a pow-pow, and he had a whole bunch of silver dimes. And I looked at that, and I looked at him, and I looked at them, and I said, what's going on here, man? What's the deal with the silver dimes and with the pow-pow? And he says, well, I'm just explaining to these people that the world's going to end one day, and the economy's going to crash because all it takes is electronics to go out, and that's the end of your money. How do you access a chip without a computer database? You can't. And he says, this is my own personal thing here, but this is in case the world ends. I got my little thing here, and then I've got some silver dimes that I use for trading. He says, I just grab this box and I go to my bug out location and I'm good. And those who know that silver is worth something, well, they'll trade with me or something. And if someone comes after me and tries to steal or hurt me or whatever, he says, I got my protection. But isn't that interesting? Money now has been made into something that's worthless, paper, plastic, and is now made into something that can be manipulated, can be hijacked through electronic means, those who know how to hack. Cyber currency will be the money of the future. And cyber currency will be the money that allows the economic collapse to come. Because like I said, once electronics are shut down, where's the money? Unless, of course, they put it inside of you through some sort of chip. And matter of fact, you know the devil is behind that. You know the devil is a banker. Let me show you something. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Do you realize the person behind all this is the devil? The person behind changing all the money in the world has to be Satan, because he was cast out of heaven. And every time he looks at a piece of gold, he's reminded of the place that he can't be. And so he hates that. He wants to change the economic system to remind him of where he's going to end up. Oh, by the way, I didn't even get to explain this. Do you realize that because they took us off the gold standard and off the silver standard, that they put us on a different standard called the OPEC standard? I believe that was Richard Nixon. And he put us on a standard of oil. Well, guess what? The whole world came together with this oil thing, and guess what? Now our dollar is backed by oil. Well, guess what? We were self-sufficient in oil in this country. We didn't have to rely on other countries. Now we're not. And now with OPEC, other countries become richer and richer because they have more money, and our dollar was based upon this. Our dollar goes down, and that's where inflation comes from. Because they have gone from the gold standard to the standard of something that comes out of the ground, deep in the ground, that burns, a type of hell. I look at all this, I go, man, this is awful. And I say, now, who's behind all this? The devil. Okay? Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18, and let's see what his plan is for the economy. Well, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18, the Bible says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for the number of a man, and his number is 666. So the devil wants you to get into his system. And his system is, I don't want you to buy or sell. You see, what money is all about buying and selling. So it's all about buy and sell. And for almost 6,000 years of human history, everybody knew you used a coin to buy and sell with, because gold, silver, copper, sometimes they'd use bronze coins. These were all things that were intrinsically valuable, and these were the things that people recognized as money, and you buy and sell with that. Somehow the devil is changing that system to get rid of gold and silver, in which there's a way that he can make you have a mark in your right hand or forehead, and that you can't buy or sell without that mark. And it sounds like possibly that mark will somehow be something to do with cryptocurrency, like a chip. So I think that the devil is behind all this. So the question comes, what should we do that are Christians? Should we love money? You know, there's a lot of people out there that claim to be Christians, and they say they love the Lord, but yet they love money more than God.
Han inne på et veldig viktig poeng. Vi har jo et kristelig folkeparti, og dette her greiene, vi skulle tro at det var kristendommen det var. Men det viser seg, jeg har i hvert fall erfart opp i en tid, de kristne er mange ganger de grådigste, kynisme. Og det ser vi jo med kristelig folkeparti i Norge. De er mer opptokne av pengene og posisjonene sine, enn de er av det som står i Bibelen, og dette her greiene forsvarer. Og det ser vi jo nå hvor gale det er borte. De har fjernet seg mer og mer fra kristendommen. De har jo ikke det i skolen engang lenger. Og når du har sett denne filmen, så forstår du at dette henger sammen med alt. Det er pengemakt som rår. Kunne lure folk. Og at kristelig folkeparti liksom har lurt så mye kristne folk, da begynner jeg å lure på er det falske kristne de fleste, som ikke klarer å tolke Bibelen. Han tolker det på den måten, så jeg også synes det er en veldig logisk måte å tolke dette på. Og da vi begynner å stille spørsmål om hvordan samfunnet har blitt. Vi har fått et samfunn der, når de unge etter dette skolesystemet, har fått et samfunn der folk vet ikke snart hva kjønn de er engang. Med dette med pedofili-greiene og bare drit og lort. Så og media holder på å hause dette her opp, og pride-greiene, alt det der greiene. De fjerner seg mer og mer fra Bibelen og kristendommen. Jeg har ikke monopol på dette her, men jeg ser bare galskapen. Når du ser alt er pengemotivert. Hvordan skal vi ta penger? For det er en styggedom, dette her, når vi kommer inn i nå. Og det er derfor vi ser også, at de hauser dette her med bitcoin og krypto og alt det der greiene, for de skal ha kontroll på oss. Hadde vi gitt tilbake til det gamle med gull og sølv og kobber, så er det ingen som har kontroll med oss. Så det er et kontrollsamfunn. Altså det er mer kryptovaluta og digitale penger vi skal ha, til mer kontroll har jævelen på oss og bankfolk. Så det er helt logisk. Så folk må begynne å våkne og tenke, men jeg begynner å lure på hvor mye folk som klarer å tenke lenger. For jeg holder på med dette nå så lenge, men det virker som det ikke når inn noen. De klarer ikke forstå det. Og om det har noe med sprøytene å gjøre, at folk de borte sitter noe med det der væsker de har fått i, at de ikke klarer å tenke logikk, altså, jeg forstår det ikke lenger. Jeg snakker med folk og prøver å forklare dette her, så det går ikke inn. Det går ikke inn. Og jeg klarer gjerne, ser gjerne fanden på veggen, det vet ikke jeg, men
a lot of people out there that aren't Christians, that are lost, and all they can think about is money, 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 money. Give me money. I want money. I want. And in their mind, money is a piece of paper that will burn up someday. They don't even know what real money is. Real money is gold and silver and precious metals. But they don't see that. But what does the Bible tell us? Does the Bible tell us to love money? Well, let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 7. The Bible tells us about money, and while we are alive in this world, it takes money to live. So we got to have money to be able to pay the bills and buy food and things like that. So it's not a sin to work and get money. Matter of fact, the Bible says we're supposed to work by the sweat of our brow. And the Bible tells us if a man doesn't work, neither should he eat. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with working and nothing wrong with making money. The problem comes in when it comes to trusting. What are you trusting in? Are you trusting in money? Are you trusting in Jesus? See, I don't put my faith in my money. I put my faith in the Lord. I try my best not to love money, because how do you love a piece of plastic? How do you love a piece of paper? That's what they call money nowadays. Do I love gold, silver, and copper? No, I just look at it as, oh, that's a neat thing. And yeah, it's worth something. But I don't love it. All right, let me show you what the Bible says. Now, I don't know why the Lord gave me this message, but he did for a reason. Maybe somebody out there, maybe your faith is in your money, or maybe you're trusting in money, or maybe you love money more than God. I don't know. Maybe this message is for you. But we do need to look at what the Bible says, okay? So in 1 Timothy chapter 6, look at verse 7. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Do you realize when you die, your money does not go with you? You might have a gigantic bank account here in this life. The moment you die, that's not yours anymore. You cannot take it with you to the afterlife. Have you ever thought of that? So what do? Well, I guess you could leave it behind to certain people, but a lot of time when you do that, well, they tax the snot out of it. So maybe while you're alive, give it to somebody, but then there's this gift tax. So there's all the devil just wants to get his cut, doesn't he? The devil loves money. He loves to be rich. He wants to take over the world. And you know the old saying, power is money and money is power, right? But it says here, continuing there in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7, for we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. You better be careful. If you fall into this thing of the love of money, it can sure hurt you. Do you realize the more money you have, the more problems you have? Now, that's not saying you can't be rich. You can. There's nothing wrong with having money. My dad used to say, God showed what he thought of money by the kind of man he gave it to. Usually the richest people in the world are the worst, aren't they? They're mean, they're hateful, they're evil, they're wicked, they do bad things. Get away with it too, unfortunately. Why? Because they can pay off the lawyer, pay off the judge, pay off, but money is not evil in itself, and it's not wrong to have money. So what is the Bible telling us here?
Det var jo dette jeg opplevde i 2014 med en av Norges rikeste personer. Han brukte pengene sine for å stjele og bedra enda mer. Betalte advokater til han sier herrene og han arvet mye penger, og så brukte han disse pengene for å få enda mer penger på uærlig vis. Det har gjort at jeg har lært dette herrene, for jeg opplevde mye dritt, og kommune, offentlig, alt var med, politi, ene med det andre. Så begynte jeg å tenke, hvordan kan jeg bevare mine verdier? Jeg hadde jobbet da i mange år, natt og dag, offret mye av ting og tang på, for jeg likte å jobbe og sånne ting, men så ville jeg bevare noe av verdier, for jeg så systemet stjele pengene av oss. Altså, det offentlige, enten det er politiet, Mattilsynet, barnevern, whatever, de bruker to taktikker. Det er mentale, og det er økonomiske utmattelse. Og så har de 100, så lenge du har pengene stående i bank og et eller annet sånt, så har de 100% kontroll på deg. Og jeg hadde da i 2013-2014, husker ikke hva det var, så hadde jeg en del penger på konto, for jeg hadde lagt om firma, og jeg hadde en del ekstra kapital etter det. Og da ble jeg oppringt av banken at jeg hadde negativ avkastning, dårlige renter og you name it. Men jeg stoler ikke på banken, for jeg hadde hatt opplevelser med banken allerede da, så jeg stoler aldri. Folk som har forrådt meg, de stoler jeg aldri på igjen. Og jeg gjennomskuet dette her spillet, og tenkte jeg gikk hjem og begynte å tenke, og fant ut hvordan kan jeg sikre kjøpekraften min. Jeg skulle ikke tjene penger, jeg skulle bare sikre min. Jeg hadde en pott med penger, og jeg ville sikre at den potten med penger, den skulle jeg kunne ha kjøpekraft for om 10 år, om 20 år. Jeg ville kunne kjøpe det samme som jeg hadde på den tiden. Og da var det jeg kom frem med dette med gull og sølv. Det var liksom alltid vært, det er mange tusen år gammelt, og det holder inflasjon. Og så alt de argumenter, den her kvinnelige bankselgeren, aksjeselgeren, hauseren, ja, det fant jeg ut at dette var mye bedre og tryggere, og jeg hadde 100% kontroll, ingen kunne ta det fra meg, for jeg kunne lagre det hvor jeg ville, kunne grave det ned hvor jeg ville. Ja. Derfor kom jeg inn i dette med gull og sølv, på grunn av mine opplevelser. Jeg så hvordan grådigheten til folk, til offentlige, og gjør du en liten feil, så får du en grevlig mulkt av systemet. Så jeg fant ut det at jeg så det er så mye gale i samfunnet, og etter finanskrise og alt, at jeg fant ut det at jeg må sikre meg. For dette er pengene jeg har, det er ærlige penger. Jeg er tjent på ærligvis. Jeg kan ikke svindle og bedreie noen. Og da er jeg ikke interessert i at det svindler og bedrager som kommer og tar det ifra meg heller. For går jeg tilbake til han Norges rikeste, 95 rikeste, det er den måten han er rik på. Det er ikke det at han er kreativ og flink, men det er han utnytter andre folk. Han utnytter arbeiderne sine, han går, og folk som ligger litt problemer økonomisk, går han inn og lurer. Og sånne folk så det har ikke jeg respekt for. For det er ikke sånn jeg har tjent mine penger. Jeg har tjent mine penger på ærlig arbeid og jobbe for dem, mens han har fått alt erfaren. Så jeg har lært av dette systemet, hvordan dette virker på grunn av dette her. Og jeg ser hvordan de penger, altså folk, bestikkelse og korrupsjon, der er så mye av det i Norge, dere aner det ikke. Og folk som har flotte stillinger, høye lønninger, det er ikke de folka som er ærligste. Som ofte er det de folka som er opptatt av å utøve makt over andre penger. De har vært flinke å memorere og lært systemet for gode karakterer, og de blir rekruttert opp i stillinger, for de er folk uten moral og etikk. De blir hijacka opp i systemet, for det er dårlige mennesker. Det er min erfaring. Iallfall fra min tidligere Sola kommune. Og ordførere og politikere, det er maktsjuke folk. De har ikke kunnskap selv, men de liker å herse over andre folk. For de har ikke kreativiteten, de kan ikke skape noe selv. Men blir de politikere, eller får en høy stilling, lederstilling i en kommune, eller et eller annet sånn, så får de makt over andre. Da får de være liksom, da lufter de seg selv opp, og trives veldig godt i den situasjonen de er. Men sånne ting gjennomskuer jeg. Derfor har jeg fokusert nå voldelig på dette med gull og sølv, for jeg ser at folk forstår det ikke, eller de aller fleste forstår det ikke, men jeg vet at det er noen som forstår det. For jeg blir kontaktet av en del folk som spør om jeg kan hjelpe dem og sånn, så jeg ser det hjelper gjerne 2% av de som ser det jeg holder på med. Og det er greit nok for meg, for det at jeg har vært rundstjålen og bedreien av dette systemet. Det har pågått i 9 år. Jeg ser også at de bedreger andre ærlige folk som stoler på systemet. Jeg har også stolte på systemet før. Men etter de siste 9 årene så har jeg hatt en livserfaring så svært få i landet har hatt. De som har denne livserfaringen, sånn tilsvarende, det er de som har vært i klammeri med Mattilsynet, barnevernet, politiet, for eksempel, og andre offentlige, Nav, for eksempel. Alt som er statlig. Staten er Satan i Norge. Og til større staten, eller Satan blir, til verre blir det. Det er det ikke folk får forstå. Til mer offentlig sektor og øke administrasjon, mer jævler som kommer inn i det systemet der. For jeg vet det er folk så har moral og etikk, de klarer ikke å jobbe for Satan. Så å jobbe i lederstilling i offentlige, om det er, ja, samme hva det er for noe, eller i rettssystemet også. Ta for eksempel advokater, noen overbetalte jævler, så sitter der for å skal fakturere på tusenvis av kroner i timen, for de vet vanlige folk har ikke råd til det. Det er også, de jobber for Satan, alt i hop. Og det er folk uten moral, og i de tider vi går inn i nå, da skal de bli straffet. De skal tape alt, mer eller mindre. For det at de har beriget seg selv, grådighet, egoismen har de dyrket på en måte som gjør at de bare hever seg selv, sine nærmeste, sine venner, sine omgangskrets, og så driter de alle de andre som ligger under, liksom. Det er ikke deres problem. De tenker bare på seg selv. Dette har jeg sett og fulgt med på i lange tider. Og jeg har jo også sett det at jeg gikk på søndagsskolen og alt det der. Jeg synes de 10 bud alltid var flotte, og enkelt. Jeg liker alt så enkelt. Men jeg ser jo det at i den erfaringen jeg hadde tidligere, jeg jobbet i landbruket, så var vi rundt så mye bønder, og bønder var jo den gamle måten de tenkte på. Det var et ord og alt sånt. Men de største kranglefantene som regel, jeg sier alltid, men vi opplevde veldig mye, det var der det var kristendom. Det var de største egoistene, og de verste folk mange ganger du kunne jobbe for. For de var så selvopptokne, og liksom det var bare meg, og bla bla. Så jeg har sett, gjennom mange år så har jeg sett hvordan denne samfunnet er skrudd opp. Og det ser vi jo også nå når jeg følger jo med hvem som er på å lage seg kredittkortselskaper. Og lage kredittkortselskap, det er jo for å ødelegge folk. Altså de skal kjøpe nå, og så har de ikke råd til å kjøpe det, og så skal noen sitte og tjene penger på andre. Altså, kredittselskap, det gir kreditt til folk som egentlig ikke har råd til å bruke penger. Men så lurer de ut i en felle, og betaler en skyhøy rente på 20%, som han sier herrene. Og da begynner jeg å lure moralen til de folka som eier aksjer i disse selskapene herrene. Enten du er kristelig eller ikke kristelig. Da skal du tjene penger. Da er du opptatt, du skal avkastning på disse aksjene herrene. For du tjener penger på andres ulykker. Det er akkurat det samme som tjener penger på narkotika i mitt hode. For driver du med narkotika, driver du og tjener penger på narkotisk, de driver med smugling og faenskap med narkotika, da er du med å ødelegge folk som bruker dette herrene, for at du skal tjene penger. Der er det mange som er moralske sperrer, men de skal ikke være med å tjene penger på narkotika, for de vet det ødelegger mennesker og alt det der greiene, og får alvorlige konsekvenser. Men det er akkurat like alvorlige konsekvenser for det med å sitte og tjene penger på å eie aksjer, sånne kredittkortselskaper og sånne ting. For de tjener penger på andres ulykker. De tjener penger på andres ulykker. Og det er moralskt forkastelig i min verden. Du skal ikke tjene penger og profitere på folk som ligger nære. Du kan tjene penger på folk som har penger og sånne ting, helt greit. Men når du er borte så grådige at du kan tjene enda mer penger på å tjene og kjøpe aksjer, de driver med kredittkortselskap og sånne ting. For de spekulerer i dette, de. Og selskap som tjener penger på inkassoselskap og sånt noe. Det er det. Ja, jeg har ikke ord for å si hva jeg mener om sånne folk. For folk som går og tjener penger på folk som har økonomiske utfordringer på grunn av dette systemet, det er forkastelige folk i mine øyne.